Hammers up, everyone. Towelliee here. Battle for Azeroth Alpha. Raid testing has begun. This is going to be Uldir, which is the first raid of BFA, or BIFA, as we call it. Today we got to test the fourth encounter in the raid, which is Heroic Vezkov, and I believe his specific name is, so I just get it right, Zek'voz Herold of N'zoth. So a lot of old god oriented activities are going on in this encounter. So let's get right to it. By the way, the art you see in the background right here is made by Gears Art. If you watch Twitch, you may know him as doing a lot of artwork for Lyric and myself over the years. I had him make me a Battle for Azeroth Towelliee themed portrait. So I figure, you know, we have like a conflict type of picture or a portrait where it's like I'm half Horde and half Alliance, and it's pretty badass. It's going to be like my new starting soon screen when I start my stream, and that's going to be used for several other social media aspects throughout Battle for Azeroth, and I think it's really awesome. So hammers up the Gears Art for hooking it up with an amazing, actually, you know, not even just amazing, it's an outstanding, out-of-this-world portrait. But let's get right to the action. This is our raid testing from today. We had 30 players in the raid. We had 3 tanks, 6 healers, and 21 DPS. Wait, is it 21 DPS? Let me do the math. 3, 6, 9, then 1, 20. Yeah, 21 DPS. Now, we're going to pull this sucker. Now, I'm going to read you some of the abilities, and I'm going right off of the Wowhead website because I don't have the Dungeon Journal unleashed here. So we're going to show you our 2 best attempts. Out of all the attempts that I saw posted on the forums, I think we had one of the best attempts. The people were only getting to like 78%, 70%. We got to about 48% on one of our attempts. So Surging Darkness. So he has an energy bar. Once Zek'voz gets to 100 energy, he unleashes a series of eruptions in quick succession. And they erupt for shadow damage. And you can't get caught in it or else you die. But we had a little plan. So there's a visual bug, because obviously this is the alpha, and this was the first raid testing that we've done for BFA. You'll see that when the explosion from underneath him happens, what it does is, I think it pulses like 2 outer eruptions, then it goes like 2 inner, then like 1 right underneath him. And there's one that happens in the melee that you can't exactly see. Now, he's casting Surging Darkness, so we said to each other, well, why deal with the mechanic at all? So we just basically moved the boss from one side of the room to the other, and we totally ignored that mechanic. So I'm pretty sure in the future they'll change it to either cover more of the room, or maybe that it'll follow the boss wherever it goes. So from a tank perspective, you're getting 2 attacks. You'll see that happening whenever I'm actively tanking. One is called Void Lash, which is a lashing tentacle, does shadow damage on a frontal cone, reduces your healing received by 50% for 8 seconds, and the effect stacks. Right after he does Void Lash, he casts Shatter, which does about 146,900 physical damage, and it increases your physical damage taken by 50% for 40 seconds. So it's definitely a taunt mechanic, but since we were using 3 tanks for the purpose of testing, we never had to like really figure out the taunts. We have no DBM. Usually once DBM goes, they'll tell us like the right taunts, and what I'm assuming is you just take the Void Lash, take the Shatter, taunt, the other person takes the Void Lash, takes the Shatter, for a second. It's like, it might be like the Ursoc taunt style. Who knows? Bam! You guys know what I'm talking about from the stream. But, yeah, right now tanks weren't an issue at all. So we're currently in stage 1. At 90%, we get to see it's what they call Protocol Chaos, right? So the boss starts summoning these projections of C'thun and replicating minions from the Karachi Empire. So the first ability is I-Beam, and you'll see on the screen, you know, something, you know, I-Beam right there. The projection of C'thun begins casting I-Beam. So basically, I-Beam penetrates the soul of the target. It deals 36,000 plus shadow damage, and it leaps to any nearby allies for increased damage. So if you don't run away with the ability, it'll just leap to a person, do 40,000 damage, leap to the next, do 40,000 damage, until someone just finally gets the fuck out of the raid. That's basically what kept us from progressing in this boss. But, you know, we weren't using comms. We were just kind of, you know, I was kind of talking through the stream and everyone was listening. And then there's these Karachi Warriors, which are all those little ads that you see in the room. Now, these ads can be stunned, slowed, AoE gripped from a blood DK. We actually had a blood DK, helped out a lot. So the Karachi Warrior sets its attention on an enemy, lasts 15 seconds or until it strikes the target. So when it actually gets to you and it strikes you, it's called Jagged Mandible. The Warriors' melee attacks maim the target, inflicting 6,890 physical damage every 3 seconds, and it stacks. Now, in Heroic difficulty, which is the one that we're doing right now, the Jagged Mandible also reduces movement speed by 50%. So if he catches up to you and he hits you, you're slow, he's going to hit you again, he's going to hurt a lot. So that's phase 1. Now, the Dungeon Journal said that phase 2 starts at 70%, but in fact, it actually started at 60%. So we were there like waiting like, all right, so it's 70% and we don't see stage 2. So I'm going to read you stage 2 just so you guys are ready for the next attempt that you're going to see in the video. Right now, I'm just kind of letting you guys listen to me, read this. You guys watch the video, see what's going on. Stage 2 is called Protocol Deception. So the boss starts summoning projections of yogg-saron and replicating servants from Azul Narub. So Rolling Deceit is one of the first abilities that Yogg, or the, I guess the vision, or I don't know what you want to call it, you know, the projection of Yogg does. So it's all going to sound familiar. These are all abilities probably from the encounters themselves, obviously. So yogg-saron corrupts the target, inflicting shadow damage every 3 seconds and forms an ominous cloud upon expiration. Now, the ominous cloud slowly drifts through the area and will boil ominously if an enemy strays too close, summoning a guardian of yogg-saron. Sound familiar? Yeah. Remember, like when you entered yogg-saron's room, there was a little cloud on the floor, and you always had that one DPS or one derpy derp that stepped in the cloud, then it spawned an ad? Same thing. You're going to see it on the ground as a purple pool, and if you run through it, it'll summon the ads. Now, the Guardians of Yogg-Saron, they cast Shadow Nova upon reaching 100 energy or when defeated. So you pretty much have to kill them before they hit that 100 energy mark, or else pretty much the raid wipes. And as of right now, Shadow Nova self-destruct for 20,500 shadow damage. I think it's a little bit more on Heroic. So there you go. I don't think they can be... Yeah, they were actually... I think the bear tank was tanking it here. And at the same time, you also get the Anubar Void Reavers. Now, those are the static Void Reavers that you see, kind of like you saw a little bit of them right there. You see one in the upper left-hand corner, right above square. The caster binds itself, preventing forced movement effects, Heroic and Mythic. Launches shadow energy toward an enemy, inflicting 31,850 damage to 33,280 shadow damage. Now, we only got to see these two fights. So I'm just going to read the stage 3 corruption, which is called, let's see, Protocol Corruption begins at stage 3. So the magic released from the damaged Titan discs appear to be unchecked and more than a mere demonstration of power. So now what's going to happen is, if you notice in the beginning of the encounter, there's these little sparks of electricity going out. So we're going to go through the fight right now. I'm going to pull the boss. I'm going to bring him to Skull. Now you see these little yellow sparks going out throughout the raid right now? That's Titan disc energy going out. So Titan disc striking several targets for 9,000 nature damage. Now that's happening the entire fight. Those little poof, little lightning yellow golden bolts of death and fucking doom. So I took my Void Lash. I took my Shatter. So now the other tank taunted. So Surging Darkness is going to happen at about 100 energy. The boss will make some sort of RP emote thing. So I take him, I taunt him across the room to triangle. This is going to negate the entire mechanic for Surging Darkness. Now the ads are going to come out, which are the Karachi Warriors, which will fixate on players. So what we did was we told anyone that was fixated to head to the middle of the room. There's a blue marker there. At that point, we're going to put Ring of Peace down. We're going to CC slow. We're going to have the DK AoE grip them back. And then if you're, and as you can see, we had a lot of hunters in the raid, and Barrage is extremely overpowered right now in the alpha. So yeah, and I'll have the Warcraft logs in my description for the entire fight, so you guys can see like what kind of damage people are doing. So right now we're going back to the boss. So that takes care of like a sample of phase 1. So now we're just DPSing the boss, we were doing pretty good here. Pretty much after, I think the goal is to maybe like have the boss at 50 energy when you finish killing the ads. That way you have time to kill the ads and then more time to DPS the boss. So this one's a little tougher when we bring them back to Skull on the opposite side, because the ads I think that the ads spawn on this side of the room. So we had to get someone over there real quick to CC. And there was more in the CCs than just, obviously Ring of Peace, but that was mainly the main one that we used to have all the ads funnel in while the range nuked them down. So we're doing really good DPS here. There goes his Void Lash. Shatter is going out. Nice little barrier there by the Disc Priest. And as you see, those Titan Disc nature damage just keeps going out. And it doesn't matter whether you're standing close to one another or spread apart, you still get hit by that Titan Spark throughout the whole entire encounter. And you also get hit by that in the last phase. I think in the last phase, it empowers those Titan Disc sparks, and then it just does way more energy. So there we are. Boss spawns in Surging Darkness. We come to the other side of the room. And like I said, the only way I can see Blizzard pretty much fixing us doing that, like cutting from one side to the other, is probably by allowing the darkness to follow the boss wherever he goes, or making it bigger overall. So I'm pretty much just kind of quarterbacking. I'm like yelling at people, not really yelling like, maliciously or in a, toxic manner. I'm just telling people what to do. So there we go again. The ads are coming in. Really, really good AoE DPS on those ads. Now at about 60%, we're going to see the phase 2, which is the yogg-saron projections. And that's when shit kind of hits the fan. And we were doing so good, I thought we were going to get the kill. Because compared to like other streams and other people that were live, doing this live, I was like, wow, we're doing really good. This usually doesn't happen in the Towelliee live stream, Usually Towelliee live streams are like fail. We got to 90%, fail. And there we go. Ring of Peace probably went down a little bit too early there, but kind of saved us. The fixated targets were already on the other side of that Ring of Peace. And there you go. Once again, those Titan Discs just sparking out damage. This is going to be a pretty healer-intensive fight. Excuse me. For tanks, it's not going to be that bad for tanks. I don't see tanks having like an extreme issue during this fight, because right now our armor and our mitigation and our block value is like so good, especially as prop paladins, that you barely take any damage. And you can also spell ward the Void Lash, which is the magical damage that makes you take the healing reduced by 50% for 8 seconds. You can actually spell ward or bubble that if you want to, so you can just tank the boss a little bit longer if needed. So the projection of C'thun is casting I-Beam. Now, I-Beam, like I said, is the ability that jumps on one target, and if you're standing next to somebody else, it'll keep jumping, and eventually killing the raid. We've wiped a few times to that. A lot of people just didn't move when we were trying to get it out. But this time we did pretty good. You'll see like this big like red I-Beam icon over your head. It's really not hard to miss. So here we go. So now the second phase starts. Here are the Nerubian. Let me get the proper name. The Anubar Void Reavers. So they cast Void Bolt. They can be interrupted. And those are the ominous clouds on the ground, kind of like in the beginning of Yogg-Saron when you enter the room and you see the clouds and you can't step on it or else it summons the ads. So we got rid of the first wave. Now at this point, it's up to the raid to just not step on any of those clouds. And so far, everything's looking pretty good. So we're at about almost halfway through the fight. We do this toss over here. I get some heals back. There was that Void Lash. I got out of the way. The other tank taunted. Nice little bubble on nobody, I guess. But all those clouds, I believe they just keep coming and coming and coming. So now we have our second set of the Anubar Void Weavers. This time we didn't do so well. So a couple of ads got out. Little glitch right there. And now we just have to just tank these ads together. And as you can see, these ads do have a power bar. I'm still trying to interrupt and help because I'm a prop paladin, Grand Crusader Proxel. I can help out with interrupts. And trying to get these ads down. And these guys are up. As you can see, we're going to hit 100. There you go. There's the explosion. Everyone just died. And the explosion happened. But those were pretty good attempts. I think we did really well. This wasn't actually a test to test the encounter. According to Blizzard, today's test was more of a stress test on the servers, on the instance servers, on the raid itself, the environment within. So, I mean, we got to test the boss. It looked like the abilities were going down. Any changes that I would make here to this encounter, I think there may be a little bit too many ads that spawn. That's just me, though. And I think the ads spawn based on how big your raid is. So I'm guessing if you have 30 people in your raid, you're going to get like 15 to 20 ads. If you have like 15 people flex, you're going to get like 7 or 8. So I think we got like the full brunt of the ads. And it was kind of overwhelming at first, but we kind of worked around it, figured out our CCs. From a tank perspective, not really an intense tanking fight. You're only tanking the boss, and you're then tanking the ads that come out of the ominous clouds if you step in it. 3 tanks is a possibility. 3rd tank could go around kind of being like a role player, kind of like utility, especially a prop paladin who can like spot heal, sack, spell ward players, help with interrupts on the Void Weavers, the Anubar Void Weavers. But ideally, you're probably going to go with 2 tanks to maximize DPS. So for a heroic fight, it was pretty okay. Our item level was about 330. item level, and we were at level 120, obviously, and we had Azerite armor currently active. But yeah, that's it. And so that is the first BFA alpha raid testing for how do I say this guy's fucking name? For Zek'voz, the Herald of N'zoth. So there's going to be more raid testing videos coming your way. Thank you everyone for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and hit the video thing, and respond and shit. And I'll post logs so you guys can see the intense amount of barrage damage that hunters are doing right now, because barrage is utterly broken, and so are BM hunters. That outlaw rogue, though. Pirate's life for me.